Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Welcome to 3C Amplified. I'm your host, Jacqueline Destremps, here to highlight the businesses, nonprofits, and individuals collaborating to amplify their impact in the community. This series is sponsored by Another Hand Advantage, where I work with community-minded small businesses and nonprofits to create marketing strategies that fit your schedule and budget while making your brand stand out in front of your audience. Joining me in our virtual studio today is Mary Hall, founder and CEO at CultureWise Consulting, and Kay McDonald, founder and CEO at Charity Charms. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Welcome to our virtual studio today. So nice to have you both on and to talk about one of my favorite topics, cause marketing, and talking about ways that businesses and nonprofits can partner in the community. So, Mary, welcome back. You've been on the show before. I believe it was last fall you were on the show, so welcome back. Yeah, let's get started with Kay. Can you tell us a little bit about Charity Charms? What is Charity Charms and how'd you land in the hot seat, I guess, of being founder and CEO of Charity Charms?
Well, Charity Charms is a local Phoenix-based company. We started in 2004. Our goal is to use the power of charms to help charities, causes, and businesses spread the word about important causes and missions. So we work with charities all over Phoenix, and we have lots of clients nationally and internationally as well. And we're a private label company. So our concept is we take the icon or logo from the charity and turn it into a beautiful charm. And then that charm is then worked into an exclusive product for the charity, and then we could create a campaign around it. So they may have an event coming up and they need something really special to give to their gala attendees, or they may have a walk or run and they want to give something away or do a donation campaign. And we do a lot of things for private membership clubs, and we employ local nonprofits to make and assemble the items. So it's kind of everyone benefits.
Oh, that's great. I actually didn't know that part about your bracelets and the charms. I've actually known about your charms for years, but it wasn't until last year, actually, when you created a charm for 100 Women Who Care Valley the Sun, that I got to actually own one of my own and see it in person. And I love it. And I love when I go out, everybody looks at it and says, oh, that's really unique. And then obviously want to know, where'd you get it? And then you tell the story. And so,
that is actually the whole premise of what we do. Wearing a charm, charms have been around for centuries, and people love to wear their passions. And the fact that they become a talking point just gives so much exposure for charities when their supporters wear the charms.
Yeah, and it's a focal point. It's something that instead of just nobody's asking, "Hey, where'd you get that pen?"
Right.
Wow, it's a really great pen. Where'd you get it? Oh, well, it's got the logo up. But with the bracelet and with that charm, as I mentioned, it can become a talking point, and it's a really easy way to just begin a conversation with somebody about a cause that you really care about.
Yes.
Whether you're with the nonprofit or you volunteer with them, or it's just a cause that means a lot to you, or if you get it as a gift, if you're an employer and you give your employee a gift, a bracelet of a charm that maybe they've sponsored, it's just a great way for a conversation starter.
You're hired. No, but I love what you said, and I love to hear other people articulate the meaning of the charms, because I'm of course passionate about what I do and passionate about the causes that I get to work with. I'm truly blessed, but it's nice that charms have more. It's meaningful jewelry. It's something that really helps people express the good in the world. So thank you.
Yeah. Now, Mary, I want to get to you. So, as I mentioned, you've been on the show before, and we talked a lot about company culture and what it means, employee engagement, how companies are using corporate social responsibility, volunteering, giving back to not only attract employees, but employee retention. Share again a little bit about CultureWise Consulting and why starting that type of a business was so important to you.
Sure. Well, I started CultureWise Consulting because in my professional experience, I had been the co-founder of an organization that we grew from a few family members to 500 employees. And during that time, I wore many different hats. And one of the hats that I got to wear was spearheading a culture development program. And of course, that's not a one-person job. That's a whole company job. And so working with the executive team, we continued to grow and build and invest in our culture. And what I learned was what a difference it made to our employees. And so when we added the element of social responsibility, community impact, what I found was it had that element of bonding people. They took pride in themselves, they took pride in the organization, and they really felt like beyond the work that they were doing, which was important, that they were also giving back to their community. And when we started those programs, we would invite our employees to bring their friends, their family members, their partners, their circle into doing good in the community. And so when I left, I decided, one of the most important things that I did during that time was to be involved in the culture development. And I thought, I would like to teach other organizations how to do this too. And when it comes to social responsibility, oftentimes I don't know if companies understand the deeper current of what it means to a person to go out into their community and to do good. It's really a fulfilling act, and more companies are getting involved in this. And I think that's a great thing because, if you don't have a solid community, meaning health, safety, education, so on, that's the community that your employees live in. That's the community you reside in. So that's why I got into that work, Jacqueline.
That's awesome. And I think one of the things that we talked about last time that is, really attracts me to this, I guess, field, if you want to call it, as you mentioned, is that it does run deeper than just saying that, we're a socially responsible company, and getting that information out there is another thing to create that culture among all the employees and also have them, feel like it's something that they want to be part of within their company and outside of their company, whether it be they're out volunteering in the community with their company or even just when they're at work, when everyone goes, back to being in an office again, feeling like you're a part of a community at work, not only a community, in your neighborhood.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It's, one of the things that organizations do so well is they organize. They have the special ability to be able to facilitate these groups, mobilize people, and use all their tools that they have at their access. And so I think when they see that, and I've seen it, I serve as a judge for the Most Admired Companies Awards. And so as I've done this for many years, I'm starting to see the emergence, giving back to your community, social responsibility, being one of the top drivers of engagement in the workplace. Long gone are the kegerators and the ping pong tables and the pool tables. They're still there. But when you get into what people really find important, it's the ability to be part of a community. And giving back, doing good, that's part of any good community.
So tell me a little bit, either one of you, about how did CultureWise and Charity Charms get together on this project that you guys are going to be talking about a little bit today. How did that all start? Who reached out to who? How did that work?
Gosh, go Kay.
So Mary and I met at a conference, and we had both heard about each other, but hadn't really met. And we just started talking about employee engagement, and she talked about the charms and how she'd always thought the charms would be good for employee engagement. And so we talked. I told her that the premise of Charity Charms is always to have a corporation align with the charity and fund the program for them, and that I felt that was so important, especially now. We met before COVID-19. We met like was it November, Mary, of 2019?
The last 4 months have been
I know. So anyway, the wheels started turning for both of us. And we thought, we should put together a campaign that can really help corporations define their brand purpose and align with a cause, something that can engage their employees and help a charity. And we were working on a program, and then COVID-19 hit, and we said, whoa, this is needed more than ever. There's so many charities now that, have added demand on their services, but their funds are being cut. And then there are companies that are actually strong during this and haven't been affected. And, we think it's kind of a good fit for the strong companies to come in and help the charities that are weakened by, what's happened with the COVID challenge. And previously, I'd put together multi-campaigns together with like 10 charities, all for a common purpose. And so we decided to structure something like that, didn't we, Mary? And we came up with a program called Key to Strength.
And, we've got one other partner in on this with us, too. And
yes,
join us today. That's Andrea Evans of Front Doors Magazine.
Front Doors Magazine. Here, this is the representative of Andrea right here. Yes.
If anyone listening doesn't know of Front Doors Magazine, it's one of the most important magazines in the Valley that focuses on nonprofits, individuals who are giving, companies who are giving back. And I like that it not only focuses on these big fundraising events, but it goes a little bit deeper and really gets into stories about those individuals who are running those organizations. And critical for this campaign, it focuses on some of the large organizations, the companies, I shouldn't say all large, but large or small, that are involved in partnering with nonprofits to help build the community. And so, sometimes companies, they underwrite an event, they underwrite something, but the full story of who they are isn't always shared. And that's part of what Front Doors does. And that's part of what this campaign, the Key to Strength, will be doing.
So, and truly, we wanted this to be a cause marketing campaign, and you really need the marketing part of it. I mean, Charity Charms is providing product and marketing support, and Mary is providing her expertise, but the triad of having the Front Doors media, the strength of what they do in the nonprofit community, it pulls it all together as a cause marketing campaign.
So walk me then through what the Key to Strength campaign is from, say, the perspective of a business and then, from the perspective of a nonprofit. Because one of the things that's, I think is most successful, obviously, for a cause marketing campaign specifically is not only a buy-in from the business aligning their values with the values of a nonprofit out there, but then also it being mutual. It's not a one-way street. It's not just the company saying, here's a check, go off and use this in a certain way, or a nonprofit's going to the business and saying, hey, can you talk about us? It is very mutual. So what are some aspects of that campaign, the Key to Strength campaign, like I said, from the business perspective and from that nonprofit perspective?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Either Kay or I could take this on, but
I'll go ahead and let you start.
I'll start, and then you can go ahead and fill in the pieces, Kay. This is a really unique campaign. We did a lot of work before we started. Kay organized a mastermind group and invited executive directors from some nonprofits and some significant nonprofits who were able to help us understand this from the perspective of the nonprofit. And, one of the key elements for the nonprofits is this is very low effort for them. It's turnkey. The underwriting of this campaign is done by the businesses. The nonprofits shared with us that many times they're approached with these ideas of how to raise funds, and then they're left to carry it out. Now, we know that they have a lot of important work to do. That's the mission that they are fulfilling. And so we put in a lot of effort to make this simple for them, meaning that when we talk a little bit more about it, they have a simple goal, which is to communicate this within their network about what's happening. Now, that might not be very clear at this point, but we'll get there. And from the business perspective, it's also very low effort and turnkey, because in the design of it, we're using that cause marketing social media campaign to be the engine of this. And we're combining the strengths of the nonprofits and the companies and the general public to be able to drive this and make it successful. So I'm not sure that answers your question, Jacqueline, but maybe Kay, you could add to that.
I'll try and add something to it. It's a virtual donation campaign is basically what we're doing. You know, a lot of charities have lost staff. They don't have people to do the marketing. They don't have people to execute things that aren't just totally mission driven. So the Key to Strength campaign basically is aligning a corporation with a charity to support them and then tell the message of their alignment. The virtual donation campaign, so the corporation is actually funding an item. It's called a fob, and it has a charm on it.
I think one of the things that you both pointed out was just how easy it was for both to participate, both the business and the nonprofit, because while we all, want to do good and want to be able to give back, at the same time, if you're going to be making that part of your business, and a nonprofit is a business as well, if you're wanting to make it part of your business, you don't want to be adding on a whole nother, workload. And a lot of times when it comes to fundraising campaigns, you could mean hiring on or creating a whole nother department or committee. And
right.
So it's I like the ease of this. As you both pointed out, one of the keys to success of the Key to Strength campaign really sounds like it's that, like you said, turnkey, that ease of both being able to work this into the staff they already have. It's not creating a whole, another piece of work for everybody.
Right. So can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So what we think makes the campaign special is that it is turnkey and multi-channel. So we're using email, we're using social media, and we're using digital and print media. So the story is going to be told throughout. And then the final piece is when the people are engaged with the campaign and make the donation, they get the key fob, and then Charity Charms mails that out. So it's totally hands off for the charity. They don't have to touch anything or do anything, which is really refreshing for them. And then by having a memento that defines the campaign with the Key to Strength, it keeps the campaign going. So after each one is a 30-day campaign, but after the 30 days is over and the social media and all that is done, people have this lovely memento in their hands that, just like you said, Jacqueline, they'll use and they'll walk around and they'll probably tell 20 or more people about the charity and hopefully the corporation. So it'll be a win-win for everyone.
And, it's interesting at this time, too, because even though businesses are reopening, I think people are hesitant, and it's still appropriate right now to have a virtual campaign. Mm-hmm. So again, this is a campaign that was put together virtually because after Kay and I met and Andrea at Front Doors, we had to stop seeing each other. So right. Zoom, the other people, this became our platform of meeting from a distance. And this is how it'll run. There will be no need for anyone to meet and set up a stand and try to sell, things to raise money. This is going to use the power of social media. It's going to be driven like a funnel, as these campaigns do, to a single venue housed on the AZGives site, which is housed by the Alliance of Nonprofits. And so with that said, there's a lot behind the scenes going on, as there usually is.
Yeah.
But it'll be too much detail for today. But it's really creative in that when an individual donor goes to that site and they donate $50 to this cause of their choice, then they're going to receive this beautiful piece of charm jewelry that's co-branded with the company's logo charm, the nonprofit's charm, our Key to Strength. It's a his and her type of piece of functional, the fob, which is, you can use it on a golf bag, you can use it on your purse, you can use it wherever you want for whatever meaning. And, it's substantial enough to get attention. There it is. Yep. There it is. And I think one of the really cool things about this campaign, you can get excited about the design and how creative it is. I get really excited about at the Seeds for Autism group, the employees of Seeds for Autism is assembling these pieces. And so it's providing employment for them at what I would call a very competitive, above the federal rate of being paid to do this. And so there's so many elements in this that I get excited about that I hope other people do too.
Well, the other thing too is that, Charity Charms, we make charms for charities all over the world, but we're based here in Phoenix, and we actually cast the charms here in Phoenix as well. So you're supporting a local business and local people that work for me, and a local nonprofit too, which is just kind of a little bit of icing on the cake, I think.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, the other thing too that's interesting is that normally we would make the items and then they'd be passed out at an event or distributed that way. And this whole COVID-19 has had to make us rethink how we do things too. And we've had to add the functionality of being able to mail things for the charities, that whole fulfillment part to make it full circle. So it's interesting how, challenges can bring about new solutions.
Mm-hmm. And I think that even sounds, more appealing to me, the fact that it's mailed directly to them and you're not having to rely on setting up events. And then you've got who's going to staff the event. And, oh, by the way, this is who you're going to pass it out to and who gets what. And,
right.
And yeah, so it's kind of, a blessing in disguise, really, as far as, like you said, coming up with new ways of doing business or of getting these key fobs, in this instance, in the hands of those donors. Is it really looks, you look at streamlining those systems and making it even easier for everyone.
Well, and another thing about streamlining in our alliance is for us, it was always a challenge if we had to take the money and then write the check and be accountable for all this stuff. And so we pulled in AZGives as our partner. And we're just really excited that Charity Charms Front Doors and AZGives, because now they do all the processing part, and all the money, all the $50, 100% of it goes directly to the charity, because all the costs for the marketing program have been underwritten by the corporate sponsor.
Yeah, that's great. No, when you talked about the AZGives component of it, I just love, for instance, this past April for AZGives Day, I loved, being able to go to the website and you almost get to pick a shop, which, and you have a little shopping cart and it tells you in there, which charities you've donated to, and then it's one payment. And it goes through there. So that's really exciting that you were able to also partner with AZGives and have that component to it, because Mary, as you said, there's a lot of things that go in on the backside of this, lots of wheels turning and pieces of the puzzle there to really make this a success. And I think, finding those partners just outside of, okay, it was Mary and Kay and you had this idea. Now what? Oh, let's bring on, this organization. Okay, well, what about this? Oh, we know somebody who can do that, help us out with that as well. So it really breaks it down and does make it a little bit easier management wise on the back end of, let's say, something like this. If you already have those partners, or you can find those people to collaborate with.
And also, I think what's going to be nice, and we've already heard this from several charities that we've shared the program with, there's so many moving parts and pieces, and for them to have to come up with things like this continually can be so stressful and taxing on their whole staff. And charities are constantly tasked with new ways to raise funds, new ways to engage donors, new ways to thank volunteers. And so we're kind of handing them a solution on a platter just at the time that they need it. We're excited about it.
So are there nonprofits that you already have on board who people can make the donations to, or that you're working with?
Well, do you want to talk about this, Mary? Or you want me?
Well, I mean, it's interesting to pick out nonprofits. And how do you ever sit down and pick out from all the excellent nonprofits in Phoenix? So the way it'll work is that we do have some nonprofits who are up and ready to go, and we have our list. It's on our flyer, and so I think what do we have, Kay? About 40 on
We're
there?
about 40. What we tried to do is we went through the areas that we felt needed the most help. We pinpointed social services, food banks, seniors and elderly care, first responders, abuse and trafficking. Then we went in, and because there are over, I think, 180,000 charities in Arizona, we went in and established some criteria based on who probably had the biggest need. We wanted to make sure they were part of the AZGives platform, and we wanted to make sure that they had the capability to also engage in a social media platform that would bring their donors in. So we have a recommended list that we are supplying to the corporations, and we're also checking with the charities to make sure that they want to be part of the program if they're chosen. And then, of course, if there's a corporation that is not on our list that they are passionate about, of course, we will include them. If it's a fit for the program for everyone, absolutely. It was hard to narrow down, wasn't it, Mary?
I can imagine.
We spent hours on it. Yeah.
I mean, we could have had pages of nonprofits, but to your point earlier, Jacqueline, for an organization, the company, to be aligned with the nonprofit, and working with a lot of different companies, and, in my work as the judge on the most admired, we're always looking at what companies are doing. And some companies have a really strong alignment with a cause. And then some companies are, they have a lot of nonprofits that they fund, and they have reasons for that. It's not a scattered kind of program. They have reasons they do that. And so we certainly would like to align with who they support. And so they might recommend one to us as we're talking to them that they're very passionate about. And if that's the case, then, certainly that will be, we'll contact the nonprofit and we'll put this together. So we do need to recommend some, but it can be original and designed based on what that company would like to do.
And to your point about how it's so important for companies right now to be purpose-driven and align with causes, I mean, that truly is the crux, Jacqueline, right, of cause marketing. It makes sense for a grocery store to align with a food bank. That's something that makes sense. So if the companies aren't used to doing cause marketing and aligning, we are here to help guide them to align with a cause that will mean something to their brand, their purpose, and their employees.
Right. You've already done some of the legwork for them because, Mary, as you were saying, both of you touched on this, there's so many different nonprofits out there. And how do you narrow it down? Again, it's one more thing that you're taking off the plate of that business owner who says, I really want to give back, but I just don't know where to start. And sometimes just that's the first stumbling block in giving back in the community, is just not even knowing who to give to. And that concern over, is this the right choice or is this the right choice? By having that list that you've already kind of gone through, and like you said, you kind of picked from different areas so that it would align with businesses and their values. You've already kind of taken some of that work out of it for them. So I love that aspect of it as well.
And we did a lot of work in terms of looking into GuideStar, Charity Navigator, BBB-Wise Giving, to look and see that the nonprofits are, have been vetted. And, that's one step that, it's important to do that. But it's, again, the alignment. That's not the end all, but that's an important step in the process.
Yeah. Well, and I like too that you mentioned you looked at the nonprofits and kind of what their social media presence was, and do they have the capacity, once this gets started with them, for them to be able to take the time that's needed in order to get that word out on social media. And one thing I always tell, businesses and nonprofits that I'm working with is you don't need to be on every single platform out there. So by no means does it mean if you don't have an Instagram account, you need to all of a sudden have one. But of the ones that you are on, you need to be active. And if you're not, maybe push those to the side and just pick one so that you can focus your energies on that. So I really like that you already looked at that component of it as well, to make sure that it's something that they can bring on. Because I imagine if presented with this, nonprofits would say, this is amazing, that's great, sign me up. But then you look at, okay, but here's really what is involved in this. If everybody wants it to be a success, here's what that looks like on both sides.
Right. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
We think part of the strength of the program is the collaborative group. So there will be Charity Charms, Front Doors Magazine, the charity, and hopefully the corporation all coming together in those 30 days to spread the word with all of their supporters. So it will bring new supporters to the charity, new visibility to the corporation, and it'll be a group collective. So there's power in leveraging that.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
And I love that on AZGives page that the individual donor has the option to repost Facebook, or on Twitter. I think sometimes on Instagram that they can do that. So if they do that, they'll spread the word further. And so, these social cause, the media campaigns are just, they're building upon themselves. It gets momentum. And, depending on your networks, that's I think where the key to success is in this. This key is really important in this whole thing.
Yeah.
We find more ways to say key than a manager. And it's at times.
We could have hosted this later and had the key drinking game.
Well, one thing that we're going to do with the marketing campaign is we also are going to put the whole campaign and the story together. So Front Doors will be writing a story about the partnership, and that will go out in their online digital magazine that goes out weekly. And then we are going to be doing a Zoom session just like we're doing today, and we're going to feature the video on the web page that we built for the charity. We're also going to do a podcast and a blog, and we're going to create campaign graphics that will be used to create continuity for everyone, so that, again, the corporation and the charity won't have to go, oh, what do we say about this? How do we do this? It's just all going to be given to them. It's part of what we're doing.
Yeah, people love to share on social media. We all know that. We look. People like to share. This is what I'm eating. This is what I just made. I just made some roasted chickpeas before we got on this call today. So, and I was like, look, I made roasted chickpeas. People love to share, but when you are wanting, as a business or nonprofit, when you're wanting people to share, then reshare what you've shared, it needs to be easy. One, it needs to be literally like a click of a button or copy paste. I like how you're talking about as far as the information that's going to be shared. It's almost, some people call it swipe copy, basically something you can just copy paste. Here's what you can say when you're sharing about this information on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or wherever that may be. People love to share, but you need to make it easy too, because they're already on to the next thing that they want to share.
Campaign on a platter.
Yes.
Well, we haven't had an ice bucket challenge in a while, so maybe we'll be raining keys soon.
We will have to make a box that the key has to fit in.
Oh, there you go. So, for companies who then want to become involved with this campaign, what would make for a really great partner? I know we've talked a little bit about that as far as, just willingness to, be able to share the information, whether on social media and with their contacts and such. But outside of that, what companies would be a really good fit for this campaign, and how should they get involved?
Well, I've already started reaching out to companies, and, in terms of the list, Jacqueline, I think that any company that has that heart of giving, any company that has the capacity to invest in underwriting this campaign and is excited to partner with a charity that they choose, that is a good partner. Above and beyond that, a partner who is wanting to talk to the nonprofit and get alignment with them. And also, it would be wonderful if they would share this with their own employee base and talk to them about it. But there are lots of companies out there right now who are looking for programs like this. And so it's really getting the word out to them and helping them understand that that investment they make in underwriting has a value to them in terms of sharing their brand and their commitment to their community. And, when you get into that, I know you all know that, the marketing of your brand in terms of cause marketing is talking more about what it means to you. And it's also a component of employer branding. So in the work that I do, when a company is giving back to their community, it's part of their employer brand. And that's what employees are looking for. They're looking for companies that are doing meaningful work, they're purpose-driven. So when a company gets involved in this, we'll explain to them how they can use this, not only to the benefit of the nonprofit, like underwriting the campaign, but also the exposure they'll get and their ability to be able to use that for company and employer branding.
I think also one of the things as we were doing our research, we felt that this would be a really good fit for medium-sized local Arizona companies because we've targeted local Arizona charities. So we really want to focus that this is a local campaign with the strength of Arizona coming together to help each other. And a lot of the medium-sized companies that some are doing very well through this challenge, they've never done anything like this, or they wouldn't even know where to start. And so again, we want to offer like a campaign on a platter that's an easy way for them to get engaged in cause marketing, give them some wonderful exposure. Surely if a large national company wants to come in, do the campaign, fantastic. But we think it's a really good fit for medium-sized local companies.
Yeah.
Would you say that, Mary? That kind of.
I would say that. And I would also add that there's large national organizations that have a presence here.
Yeah.
They might be headquartered in Phoenix, but they certainly have offices here in Arizona that
want to support the community, right?
Yeah, they operate under a big umbrella.
Yeah.
But they're in our local community. And I think that companies have found that getting more connected to their local community, despite where their headquarters is very important. And this is the kind of thing that can help them giving back and getting involved.
And I imagine for those companies who haven't done anything like this before, or who are looking for some new way of giving back and having that presence in their community, this would be a really great way for them to be introduced to that nonprofit, maybe after they go through that process and make that selection. And maybe it starts with this campaign. But I'm just looking at it kind of bigger picture, some other things that they can then, once they learn more about that nonprofit, they partner really well together, some of the things that they can do down the line with them as well. And that could turn into, when we're able to start volunteering again and doing in-person activities, just great ways for them to get their employees involved with that nonprofit. And on the nonprofit side of things, it's just a great way for them to build those relationships and perhaps even a new donor base out of, the business itself is underwriting it, but their employees might find a way to give back to that nonprofit as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's such a great point, because I think so many times a company will just write a check for an event, or let's just buy a table or whatever, and it's one and done. What we are really hoping will happen with this campaign is like happy collaborations and new relationships, because instead of just writing a check, we're telling the story, we're telling why the company chose the charity and what the charity needs and what their cause is and how the impact that the company's donation will make for the charity. So it's so much more than just writing a check. And I love what you just said, Jacqueline.
And that's really great. Then on the side of having Front Door Media then be a part of this is because they'll really be able to help tell that story and get that information.
They are the best storytellers ever. And we're so excited about having them as the media part of this.
I get really excited when I think about the individual who makes the donation of $50 on the Arizona Gift site, and then they receive their gift in the mail. And it's packaged with a message from the company and the nonprofit, that partnership, and they tell a short story on the card. So the story continues in different ways, and it's wrapped in a nice little bag, and it's a gift. It's that recognition that they receive, and as we said earlier, that awareness keeps building for the nonprofit and for the company that partnered with them. And I mean, we've all seen a lot of different programs where we get a T-shirt or we get a pen or we get something, but this is really special. This is something that I think that people are really going to like.
Well, and another thing too, I don't know about you guys, but we've all been shopping online, and when it's staying home and staying inside, going to the mailbox and having something that delights it's going to have more impact. And it's funny because we were talking, normally in Arizona in the summer, everything is so dead. There's no fundraisers, there's no events, everybody leaves. And this year we think it's going to be different. And, we were like, oh, is this a good time to launch this? And we thought, you know what, this is absolutely the best time ever, because this is when charities really are going to need that extra impetus. And there's going to be people that might actually engage in the campaign during the summer that normally wouldn't have. So.
Right. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, ladies, as we wrap up our conversation today, I want to give you both an opportunity to let everyone know, one, if they're interested in, obviously, in the Key to Strength campaign, how they can get involved, whether they're a donor or nonprofit or a company, obviously, because you want to bring on those companies, like you said, to help underwrite this. So let's talk a little bit about how people can get involved if they want to get involved with this campaign specifically. And then also tell us a little bit about, Mary, if they want to reach out to you and work with you on company culture and what other opportunities are there out there for their company to do more in the community. And then Kay, a little bit about Charity Charms if somebody wants to get involved with you as well.
There's a couple of ways that they can find out more about the campaign. They can certainly get in contact with me, especially companies who would like to partner with a nonprofit. They can contact me at Mary at CultureWiseConsulting.com. And I will obviously work with them to set up a program. They can also go to the Charity Charms site, and they can find out more about the Key to Strength campaign under, I think it is Programs, Kay?
Yeah, if you go to charitycharms.com and then hit programs, the first program that comes down is Key to Strength, and it kind of gives a quick overview, and then you can, whether you're a charity or a business, can type in, that you'd like more information, and then we'll get in touch with you.
Right. And if someone wanted to work with me in terms of culture, I specifically focus on creating company values that are operationalized. So many times people create the values and then they don't put them into action. So I have a system that actually puts those into place and becomes something that is a key component of the organization. Work on employee engagement programs and can conduct a Find Your Cause workshop, which actually helps some of those companies we were talking about, Jacqueline, that are maybe they don't have a community impact program. So Finding Your Cause workshop helps them to get together and create something and launch it.
Oh, I like that a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Because I think, we went back to earlier when I was saying there's companies that say they want to give back and want to do more, but then they kind of, that stumbling block is, but where do I even start? So exactly. Finding, like you said, finding your cause and sounds like a really great place for them to even start with that. And I imagine a lot of other unexpected information comes up for them out of that type of a workshop as well.
Yeah, having built a program in the organization that I co-founded, I can relate to a company that starts to put it together without a plan. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you can start out on the right foot and have the end in mind with the program, it can be a lot of fun. And it would be great to help them do that.
Right. Great. And if you want to learn more about Phoenix nonprofits, go to frontdoorsmedia.com. You can sign up. They do a digital magazine, and you can sign up and get it digitally, or you can sign up also to get it sent to your mailbox. But they do come out with a newsletter every week, and it's phenomenal. So definitely recommend that if people aren't already signed up.
Great. And Kay, anything else that you want to share about Charity Charms?
We are in the business to help spread awareness and raise funds for important causes. So you can come to our website. You can see examples of all the work that we've done. You can see we have a list of all of our clients, and we are a private label company. So it's bring us your idea, and we'll try and bring it to life. We're not a quote retail company where you can buy one item at a time. We're more of like a wholesale business supplier that just does custom programs like the Key to Strength.
Right. Well, thank you both so much. We will definitely have information, your contact information, more information about Key to Strength on the website when this wraps up and is posted as a podcast. And people can learn more about both your organizations as well as this campaign. And so thank you both so much for joining me today and talking to me about this campaign. I'm really excited to see where this goes. Like you said, there's a lot of moving pieces going on behind the scenes, but it sounds like, to that business and to that nonprofit that are going to be a part of it. I think you said it best, Kay. It's, a campaign on a platter. I think a really great way for organizations to kind of get their feet wet with what giving back in the community can look like. So thank you both so much for joining me and sharing with me today.
Thank you for the opportunity, Jacqueline.
Yeah, of course.
Jacqueline.
Great. Well, you've been listening to 3C Amplified, where we share how others are connecting, creating, and collaborating to amplify their impact. And we hope we've inspired you to do the same in your community. If you are a fellow change maker and want to build connections, create relationships, and collaborate with others to make positive change, join the online community built to support and engage people like you wanting to amplify their impact in communities around the world. Visit 3camplified.com/community to learn more. Until next time, I'm Jacqueline DeStremps with another Hand Advantage. Let me help create a digital marketing strategy to put your organization's mission in front of your target audience and highlight the impact you're having in your community.